Here we go. Maybe. All right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today on this amazing day where life is occurring. And today we are talking with Dr. Jana Bogues, again, our good friend from Hawaii. And I want to welcome Jana, where we're talking about the daily detox and the importance of a good detoxification process. Hey, Jana, welcome. Thanks for coming along.
Hey, thanks, Lisa, for having me on. And I hope that, we can get some good information out there to people so they can detox and feel healthier.
That's right. That's right. It's so important. What's important about detoxifying?
Well, our whole body depends on detox. If we couldn't detox, we would be dead, really. So there's this accumulation of toxins from our environment, from contaminants in our food, from the air that we breathe. And so our bodies are designed to be able to detox, and things like our liver is extremely important. Our kidneys are one of the organs that eliminates things. Our skin eliminates things. But sometimes, we get so overwhelmed with the toxins, and if our liver gets clogged up a little bit, or if genetically we don't really have the capacity to create the enzymes that are needed to clear the toxins, various types, then we're going to have problems. Our body's going to get overloaded, and there's sort of this point where it's a tipping point. And once you've gone past that, where your body can't detoxify as fast as the toxins are coming in, that's when you really start to get sick. Because once that level builds and you can't keep up with the load, that's when you really get sick, and your immune system goes crazy because it can't do what it needs to do, and it's working really hard sometimes to get you well. But if you're overloaded, you're overloaded, and then those toxins get into your enzyme systems and cause them not to work properly, and then you cannot detox, and eventually you'll have a disease, and then that disease will lead to death.
So it really is that kind of fine line, and the body is so amazing in its natural ability to clear toxins, but we kind of disregard some of the early symptoms of toxification, and I think everyone may have a different experience. For myself, I notice I get a little bit achy in my joints, not sleeping as well as I want. Some people might get migraines. What are some other symptoms that could possibly be from being backed up?
Well, absolutely, your skin is one of those, because when your kidneys can't eliminate things and your liver can't, and out through the bowel and things like that, your skin is actually an organ that can throw things off. So if you get a rash, you have some kind of even skin ulcers. I mean, that is a real thing, and because your body just can't keep up with a toxic load. And so the rash, a lot of times it's pimples on especially adolescents. It's coming out through their skin trying to detox.
Yeah. The skin is such a huge, important organ in our in our removal of toxins, and it is the largest organ. And in the newsletter, we were talking about the dry brushing process for removing toxins, where we get the dry brush, we take small upward motions, starting with the feet, moving towards the heart, even circular motions in the direction of the heart. And what that does is it really gives that skin an opportunity to breathe again.
Yeah. Brush off those dead skin cells, and
makes your skin look vibrant too. I like some of the simple ones that I do for a daily, if I'm feeling a little backed up, the green drink, a super high quality green drink, wheatgrass or barley grass. Those are really good to start the detox process. Warm lemon water in the morning is a great way to kind of bathe the liver in the detox process. Do you want to talk a little bit about how hard our liver has to work?
Well, yeah, the liver is our main detox organ. At least it's supposed to be. Sometimes when it gets blocked up, yeah, the skin, has to kind of take up the slack. But it's like the number 1 detoxer, right? And so sometimes people get so blocked up they have gallstones, and so those form in the gallbladder, which is right next to the liver, and so there's even gallbladder liver flushes that involve taking like a lot of oil and then like actually shoving out like all this sludge from the gallbladder, and you can actually see it in your stool.
Right. Because some of our natural detox processes, when we are in perfect balance or seeking balance, it would be our respiration, so the breathing in and the out, the natural sweating. So I like a dry sauna to help us sweat out some toxins. That really helps alleviate the toxic overload on the liver. And then also, just like you said, our natural personal eliminations, going to the bathroom. And we know that if we're constipated, it becomes pretty quickly, no pun intended, but a real toxic cesspool, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And so some people use colonics. Some people do the coffee enemas. So they actually, use coffee in the enema to stimulate the liver, to stimulate the bile duct, to open and to kick things out. So those can be really effective for people.
For sure. The coffee flushing is really good. And once you get past the mental block about it, it is really an important part of keeping that colon clean, for sure. And it's really simple once you get it down. I also like to support the liver with things like herbal remedies, the dandelion tea,
milk thistle.
Milk thistle, that's a really good one.
Yeah.
And vitamin C. I like vitamin C to just kind of help the cells. And I like to rebound too. I use my rebounder for the anti-gravity and then the gravitational pull. And that kind of smashes and gets the toxins out of the system, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's the lymphatic system. So we have the lymphatic system is sort of like the venous system. It sort of parallels that, but it's the way that our body can drain toxins out of the tissues. And by doing like deep breathing exercises and even like doing that with your rebounding on your little mini trampoline, which I do that. I have one and I have it set up so I can just jump on it anytime. I mean, so a few times during the day, just, I'm right there, just get on it, maybe watching a video online or something, and just, be able to get on there and, even a few minutes here and there, it's going to help, get up, get moving, get out of the chair. I mean, I have to be in the chair right now so we can film, but, I do try to get up and down, and that's, keeping your circulation going. Of course, going out for a walk. I mean, some people go running, but, even just walking, I mean, really get your circulation moving. It helps to pump that lymphatic fluid because it's the muscles in your legs that actually have to squeeze and push that lymphatic fluid through those vessels. So you do need to exercise, move, and yoga is wonderful for really helping to, get things moving. So, and gentle, and you can take it at your own pace. So it's a very nice thing to do.
For sure, yeah, because that lymphatic system, I guess they say that next to the eliminatory system, that the lymphatic system, they're kind of like the trash men that need to come along and actually take out that trash, but it is a pumpless system, so that dynamic movement and like the the squeezing out that the yoga does, or the rebounding, that really does assist the lymphatic system. So let's talk about what you and I kind of touched on before, and how one of the other many arrows in our health quiver that you've recently used, and I think it's called the ionic foot bath.
Yes, that's right. I had heard so many good things about this, and actually many years ago, I actually went to like a spa type thing that offered ionic foot baths, and I went through a series of them, like maybe 10. I bought a package and um, thought I would try it. And I thought it was interesting because they have you sit and put your feet in a tub, and then there's this electrolysis machine that is in there, and then the water changes color. You sit with your feet in the water for about a half an hour, and then supposedly you're drawing toxins out of your feet into the water, and supposedly it changes to different colors and things like that, but it always was like the same color when I did it, and I didn't really notice anything from that. I really, try to pay attention to what's going on with my body, and I just didn't really notice any major shift. And some people say, oh, well, you have to do it like 30 times or something before you can really see much of a difference. But then actually just recently, I was learning more about these ionic foot baths. And originally, when the ionic foot baths were created, they were done in 2 different tubs. So you had 1 foot in each tub instead of putting both feet into 1 tub with this electrolysis electrodes on the side of the tub. And to me, that made a lot of sense because, if you've got a foot in each one, you're getting that charge to go through your body. It's not just kind of in this tub. And so it's much more effective, and that's what one doctor said, that it was doing the dual tub is the way that it really works well. You might get a little bit of benefit the other way, and people have, because there's testimonies online, especially like with autistic children, that they have seen huge differences after maybe 3 or 4 months of them like daily foot baths. And so there's been more research lately done on the ionic foot baths, and I was hearing about them from Dr. Dietrich Kleinhardt, for one thing, and he's the one that did some actual studies to look at what is being pulled out. And he said it's not what goes into the water when your feet are in the water, to any extent, a little bit, but that's not the big point of it. The big point of it is that it's going to help your body to eliminate the toxins over the next 3 days, basically. In fact, he said that he did experiments, and he actually measured the aluminum coming out in people's urine. So he got a baseline of how much aluminum was coming out, and then they did the detox foot bath, and it was 4 times as much aluminum excreted. And what was really interesting to me is that it wasn't just like immediately, just after the foot bath, but it was 3 days later that the largest amount was coming out. So,
Wow.
what I've decided to do is just do mine every 3 days. I do it for about a half an hour. Now, if you're just starting out, you want to go slow, because I could really feel a difference when I did it myself with the 2 different tubs, and I made my own foot bath for like about $12. I
Wow.
mean, with materials, it was so cheap. And these ones they sell online, they're so expensive. I mean, not everyone is, but they go up to $3,000.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and it's like they're just the single tub kind. And so they're not even really doing as good of a job as my $12 home unit with, my 2 different foot tubs.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so I'd like to just show you
Please.
that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up a paper that's going to just kind of show you what's going on. So here's the 2 foot tubs, and these are just like plastic shoe boxes that you can buy like down, at Home Depot or Lowe's or, Kmart or Walmart or whatever, right? Big enough for each foot to fit into. And then you get some little wires and you clip get two stainless steel spoons, and I picked mine up at Walmart for about 50 cents. Really, I mean, they're, about 50 cents a piece maybe, or I think I got a whole pack of 4 for like $1. It's nothing really. And then you get the little alligator clips, and I had to buy my clips separate from my wires and put them on, but it really wasn't that hard. And then you get a 9-volt battery. And the other thing is that you put about a teaspoon of salt into each foot bath. So I like to use Celtic salt, some sort of really nice quality sea salt. And then basically, so you clip the spoons to, the wire, and the wire then to the battery. And so it just has this mild little charge. And so you have about 3 inches of water in each one of these tubs. And then, like I said, you want to start slowly. So, just a few minutes, and then, build up, because, and here is like a close up of how it just clips onto the battery. And then I'd like to show you my own setup. So I got these tubs and I marked them. Here they are. Yeah. And I marked them, one with the black for the negative, and marked which right foot goes in there. And then this one, the red's a little faded, it's harder to see, but it says, positive and left foot. And then here's my little stainless steel spoons that I got at Walmart. And these alligator clips I picked up like at Lowe's or Home Depot. And then the wires, I also, just a simple little copper wire, and put those into the clips. And so then basically you take the spoon and put it in, and the wire kind of holds it in place then. And then this end is going to go to the battery, just a 9-volt battery. Doesn't have to be anything real special. And then you just clip it on. And then you do that for your other tub, of course, so that you have both your tubs, and then you hook the positive to the positive and the negative to the negative, right? On the battery. You'll see on the battery, it'll be designated as positive and negative, right? So, and then basically I just sit there. Oh, and then let me tell you the other thing that's really interesting about this. Dr. Klinghardt also did an experiment using cilantro as a way to help pull out the toxic metals. So I use cilantro, and you take it 20 minutes before you do the foot bath. And you can get like tinctures that you can get in a bottle, and just take like, a drop or 2 of that. And or just go by the directions it says on the bottle. And I use the capsules myself, just because it seems easy. I mean, whatever works for you, that's the better. And so you can buy those. They're inexpensive, or you can grow your own cilantro. I have some growing outside, and sometimes I'll clip my own. But anyway, that taking the cilantro 20 minutes before you do the foot bath increased it not only 4 times more than without, but 8 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you take, the cilantro, then you're really doing, more of the job of pulling the toxins out. And I feel like that I really have noticed a difference. And in fact, I could sort of feel like my kidney area the first times that I did it. And so, like I said, start slowly, and just, do a few minutes in the beginning and see how you do. And, if you need to, then, just increase your time slowly. And I typically, have worked myself up to half an hour every 3 days. So
wow.
that's typically what I do.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, the way, how does that work though? So the impulse from the electricity, working with the salt water. Oh, and are you using distilled water or just tap water?
No, it's just tap water.
Okay.
So, you know, and it has salt in it. So you put salt in it. Yeah. Like you put a teaspoon of salt in each tub.
In each tub.
Right.
And then it is doing a stimulating, electrifying, stimulating, ionic effect on the body, which is boosting the body's, how would we say it, availability or readiness to remove those toxins. Is that correct?
Right, right. So, you know, the exact scientific, I've looked online to try to find what, you know, the explanation is exactly about that. And I still am not completely, you know, seeing exact mechanism of action. So, you know, it may be that somebody really does understand it. I haven't found that yet, though.
Well, and that seems, I mean, so it's not necessarily that we're losing the toxins through the feet into the bath at that moment, even though we know that the feet are great. You know, some people sweat a lot through their feet. That's really removing toxins. And we also know that it's also, the feet are also great absorbers and really kind of a map of the entire body. I'm just wondering if that is also part of it, is this electrical stimulus that is, you know, moving into the feet just to create that support that the body needs to then say, okay, we can let go of all of these heavy metals, because I know it's really used a lot for heavy metal detox.
Right.
Wow.
Well, and I did read something where somebody was saying that it works with the meridian system of the body.
Okay.
So there you go.
There
and, you
you
know,
go.
which the meridians do go down to the feet. And,
absolutely.
yeah, all those nerves and everything. So obviously, you know, that really slight charge can then go through your whole body if you're doing the 2-foot baths, especially, right?
Especially, right.
And that's why it's so much more effective.
Now tell me, is it right foot positive, left foot negative? Could it be left foot positive and right foot negative? Or is our polarity so important that we are, you know, making sure that it's right side is, you know, the positive side?
You know, that is a good question, and I wondered that myself, but I haven't seen anything that actually told me one way or the other than that article that I was showing you the picture of.
That's the way they recommend.
And so I went, okay, well, I'm just going to go with what they said.
Yep.
I'm going to do the black on, you know, the right foot, and that's the negative, and just to keep that straight. So I, you know, wanted to just make sure, and my wires, you know, and everything.
To not cross your wires.
Kind of red versus black, and just make sure that I had it going correctly to the battery. And the left one is the positive side, and it does tend to color the water a little bit. So there's actually a rusting process going on, which, you know, is kind of reassuring, because you know something's actually happening.
There's a chemical reaction happening.
Yeah, so you can see my spoon from the left side how rusty it is. Yeah, right here, and this clip has actually gotten really rusty too. See how rusty that spoon has gotten? So yeah, there's definitely that reaction going on there, and you do have to, you know, make sure that you keep your battery, you know, at a, you know, make sure your battery's good. Otherwise,
at a good charge.
Yeah, and you know, they used to have these nice little battery testers that would come with those packs of batteries, and I just don't even see those anymore.
No.
So, you know,
I think that anybody who, you know, because we need to do our own investigation for all of our own healing modalities, because, you know, we are each so unique and different than everybody else that, you know, we want to test these things and notice how you feel. So we also want to be mindful and remind others that the detoxification process can sometimes be uncomfortable. And I know you said that you could definitely feel it in your kidneys. Can we talk a little bit about how we can navigate through our detoxification process so that we stick with it and don't stop a good thing or reoffend with some sort of allergy producing chemical or something? Let's talk about that. The healing crisis, as it's called sometimes.
Right. So, in the healing crisis, I think it's a real thing. And so you can also, get rashes on your skin. Like we said, the skin's a detox. So when I had these little symptoms that come up, a lot of times they're not like a long-standing problem. The symptoms will come and then they go. And that tells me that it's something that's just getting released from the system. If it's a really negative type situation that you're moving into a worse health condition, then those symptoms will come and they'll really stay and they'll be kind of chronic. But when you've got this kind of you feel a little something and then it goes away, then that's more like your body's just trying to detox out of those cells at that time. And so I've had, like in the past, I had allergy testing that actually had little injections on my arm. And I've had, and that was over 20 years ago. And even recently with my detox efforts, I've actually had those little spots come up on my arm.
What?
Yeah. And they would kind of open up and, be itchy and even have a little scab, and then they would go away.
So that's part of the clearing.
Just, all these different things. And I've had detox where I actually tasted
metals,
the deadening, well, metals too, but I was going to say about dental deadening, the chemicals that they put in your mouth to do things. And because when I was a kid, I was raised with lots of sugar. And I had a lot of dental cavities and I had mercury fillings put in and, until I got old enough to start understanding some of the stuff and how bad it was. So, I had a lot of compromises in my health from early on, including my mother didn't breastfeed me and, so.
You and I, we were bitter. We were bitter and angry that we weren't breastfed yesterday, right?
Your immune system just doesn't have the same capability if you don't have the colostrum from your mother. And so there's been different things that I accumulated a lot of toxins early on and had issues, and trying to understand this, and spending years working in holistic doctors' offices and things like that, and allergy office and all that. And so it's just been really interesting to watch the body heal itself. And even things like herpes simplex coming up, and now it's sort of it'll just come up and I'll notice a little something, and then the next day it's gone. And if it was a full-blown a sort of episode of it, you would have that for weeks, right? This awful but the detox is just this retracing. The body kind of goes back through the symptoms as it's addressing each of those symptoms. It's fascinating. The body's really fascinating.
It is fascinating, and I think we really honor our bodyscape when we take the time to be our own best researcher for our own health. Something that works for me may not work for you, but in this process of generally the more holistic practices, they are less lethal than the allopathic mode, which I think generally prescribed correctly medication kills about 150,000 people a year. And so I get frustrated sometimes when I'm working with people when they say, I tried that, it didn't work for me. But then they go back to the old way of presenting. And, it's this isn't just, you don't just eat one meal in your lifetime. You don't just meditate for one moment or pray one time in your lifetime. This is we call this the daily detox, because every day we want to assist the body in gently letting go of all of these things. And then periodically throughout the year, we want to do some of the more intensive, like the ionic foot bath, or I do a parasite cleanse a couple of times a year. The colon cleanse with the coffee flushing is really beneficial for me. And also taking high quality water, assisting the body in that flushing process. And, that's how we really, really can keep our health, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I just want to mention fasting too. So there's been a lot of research on fasting, and just even doing like a 4-day fast once a month is like incredible for your health, and it basically kind of resets the whole immune system, and it's amazing really what it can do. Your body gets a chance to do some house cleaning without having to spend all its energy digesting that food, and it's able to just tap into some of the fat stores and things like that and really detox out, because your fat is where a lot of your toxins are stored.
Right. And my experience with eating a high fat, low carb diet and doing the intermittent fasting, what I call the warrior fast, which is fasting for 20 hours a day and then only eating for 4 hours a day, being in that fat burning process naturally releases us from the lactic acidosis process, which drives all of these chronic conditions. And one of the things that happens when we are doing those fasting, even if we are just doing the intermittent fasting, is the body gets that opportunity to rest, and it begins to correct all of those skin conditions, which might be like the skin tags, the moles, or your pricks, where the skin pricks where the doctor shot you all those years ago with those, that viral panel or whatever it is. And I find that fascinating in watching my own being a fat burner versus being a sugar burner. The difference in health is so key and really, really not talked about enough in this culture, because everybody's a sugar burner. And we know that drives bad health.
Right. So that you're talking about basically like a ketogenic diet.
I am, but I'm not full keto because, I was to get into the fat burning process, but I still consider myself a fat burner, even though I cycle in some carbohydrates now, which really benefit me because I have had sugar issues my entire life, going all the way back to, as long as I can remember. So full keto doesn't work for me, but I consider myself high fat, low carb, moderate protein. And with the being in the keto, most of the ketogenesis most of the time really is beneficial for some of these chronic conditions.
Right. And I've done the keto diet too. And I agree with you as far as my body too, that I don't like to do just a straight ketogenic diet.
Right.
I like to add in some good quality carbs. I don't do grains to speak of at all. And I, try to minimize the sugar. I do some fruit. The fruit seems to be excellent, especially late in the day. So, I'll start my day with like a smoothie. So, and it has a lot of protein, typically not much carb. And then, have like salad at lunchtime, and then more like fruit in the evening a little bit. And it seems to work well for me. I've kind of found that sweet spot. And
me too. Yeah, I think that is. And we just have to keep testing and trying and trust our wisdom and look at some of the old wisdom. And on this little class that you and I are creating today, I'm going to recommend some of the doctors that I follow, some of the chiropractors that I follow that use nutrition to support the whole system, and the great successes that they're having in correcting chronic conditions. That they're all created by this same mechanism called lactic acidosis, going all the way back to the time of Dr. Weston Price, Dr. Royal Lee, and some of those wonderful doctors that were so successful in keeping people's health before we went to allopathic, Rockefeller, prescribed, cut, poison medicine or model that the majority of people follow. And I just can't even stress the fact that we need to step away from that very toxic system, in my opinion.
Right.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, when there's an emergency situation, you need some of that. And yeah.
Right. If you're broken or bleeding, there's no better cure there's no better care in the world. Go get patched up, get home, get stable, get on with the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, Jana, I'm hoping that we can do this again. I so appreciate your time, and I'll look forward to further investigating making that less than $20 ionic foot bath and seeing if that can be a great way of removing some of the heavy metals and parasites. We didn't even talk about the parasite effect and the bacterial and viral components that can help us really purge from our system.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you, Lisa. It's always fun to get together with you.
I know. I love our conversations. And you be well. Aloha. And thanks, everyone, for coming along. And we'll look forward to chatting with you again soon. I'm Lisa Giroux. Thank you for your time today.